Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Rowing Chat, the podcast for rowing. It's been going for over 13 years now. I'm Rebecca Caroe, and today I'm delighted to welcome to the podcast Soulmas Abbasi Azad. Welcome.
And thank you. Thank you so much. Hello to everyone. I'm excited to join you, Rebecca, on this podcast and look forward to sharing my rowing story with you.
Thank you so much. Now, Solmaz was introduced to me by the wonderful Paul Thompson, who's now back at Rowing Australia. And he has been a mentor for you because you are the very first rower I think I have ever had who is from Iran. What made you get into rowing?
In fact, this is a very long story. If you agree, I start from here. I grew up in Tehran, and my father was a wrestler and a sport coach in the army. So I had a very sporty childhood. I wrestled with my father, and he motivated me to be the best and start a sport career. I must be a water kid because I have competed for Iran's slalom canoe and rowing team, and now I am in the water teaching swimming.
Oh, okay. So you're a water child. And
Yeah.
how old were you when you started rowing?
If I want to tell exactly my story about how I entered to rowing, first I entered the canoeing in the Azadi Lake in the west of Tehran, the capital of Iran, which is the only standard course in the country. And
Okay.
after a selection test, I went to the camp in the river, canoe slalom camps with a top class German coach. A word of exciting experiences and painful too. Because once I had a terrible accident during a race on a class 3 river in Slovakia, and it hurt my shoulder. So I went to rowing and fell in love with rowing too. I was in the national team for 11 years. Then I coached the Iranian women's national team for 7 years.
Wonderful. I looked on World Rowing, and it seems that there are only female athletes in the in the list of Iranian athletes on World Rowing. Is there a men's team as well?
Yeah, of course. We have a big, not very big team, but big soul of team, in fact. And yeah, we have some other members, female athletes. They are much more active than male. Yeah,
Hooray! Go the women! Excellent.
yeah.
Now you're an Olympian. When you were learning to row, what made you want to think I want to go to the Olympics?
Of course, it has a long story. Also, if I want to say about my entry into the field of rowing, it was like this. In Iran, we have a system where athletes enter sport in two ways: the national competition and the first good talent recognition in use under 16. Is the first choice that works for me in that time, and I should have won in national competition. Let me start from here. When we were in the 2000 Sydney Olympics, Iran TV broadcasted the matches in the limited way. My father got satellite dish so that we could access all the matches. During the broadcast of the Olympic Pride, we could watch the full broadcast from one of the foreign channels.
Yeah.
Very good because all four members of my family were in front of TV during the broadcast. The parade of the teams and the glory of the parade ground, the effect of the lights, and the Iranian team with a relatively limited number of people. The feeling of my family members was so attractive to me that I wanted to be part of that glory. The day were filled with matches, which were mostly wrestling matches, which
Yes,
are which are laughter and emotions. Since wrestling is one of the Olympic disciplines in which Iran usually wins many medals,
you do.
you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 I was at the Sydney Olympics, but I didn't go to watch the wrestling. But you're right about the
Yeah.
opening ceremony is really exciting when you see the team with the flag walking into the stadium.
I have you, Rebecca, now.
Yeah. So
Yes, I'm
after
sleeping.
you watched the wrestling matches, you obviously
Yeah,
watched some rowing as well.
exactly. The wins and the losses of the athletes something more glorious than influence the feeling of a nation and how an athlete endures suffering and pressure in a sport and shows the peak of the performance in it influence people's sport. I think it was from that Olympics that a string from my heart was connected to Olympics, a string as long as 12 years, until I saw myself in the 2008 Olympics Caroe competition in Thailand. I entered canoe slalom, an interesting, exciting course that I loved. A wonderful German coach who taught me kayak slalom in the not so rough water of the Manjul River in Iran from the 0 points to kayak Krakow course in Poland. The first in the first international World Cup competition was a third grade rivers in Slovakia, which resulted in a dislocated shoulder joints and chronic injury. I still struggled to get a quota until the end of the competition. When I watched the Olympic parade again in front of TV in 2008, I had a different feeling. This time, I didn't just wish to be part of that flu, but I felt that I was a part of that flu and that was left out and had to find its place. So little emotional garage. It was not working, but the cries were exhausting. So I wrote a piece of so sorry because my coughing piece of paper with determination, way on Olympics, and stuck it to inside of my closet so that
Yeah.
only could I see it. Yeah.
Every morning you open your closet and there's your bit of paper, determination to go to the Olympics. Well, canoe slalom's loss was rowing's gain. So I'm very happy that you chose to swap.
Yeah, exactly. After many years, I arrived to this sentence and I decided to enter the field of rowing. The field of rowing is a calm and carefree field on the outside and a war inside against all fears and fatigue. Unlike the slalom course, the rowers with a calm appearance only perform a fixed movement pattern along the route, a repetitive but powerful movement pattern, and only God know what is going on in their minds.
True.
Yeah, depending on the type of the boat and its speed, it takes between 5 and 8 exhausting minutes. Just 6 months after 2008 Olympic parade, I joined the national rowing team. everyone thought that the physical preparation I had from slalom helped me because become the country's champion in rowing and be invited to the national rowing team. But they didn't see the raging river inside my mind, which caused me to this despair without stopping. When I was sick, discomfort, and any other problem to be present at the training.
So you did get to London. Did you qualify in, where was the qualification regatta? Was it in Egypt, Algeria?
Continental, yeah, because in Iran it's a little limitation to participate in world champion, and it's much more difficult in continental. It's much more difficult. Countries that we are fighting with them is China, Japan, Hong Kong, and some few countries, of course. The 4 years leading up to the Olympic and the years before that were so full of ups and downs that I can't say whether I was shocked or indescribably excited after winning the Olympic quota. In fact, it was like participating in the Olympic competition was part of a process that I started many years ago. So sorry. I know it's so talking exciting when I'm talking about the past, and much more pressure too.
On your throat. Selma has an allergy that she's just tried to get over. So take your time, keep sipping your water. But you're right about the process. Often when you look backwards, you see more clarity than you have at the time. You can say, oh yeah, now I can see that this led to this.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, as long as I didn't remind myself that, Selma, you are in the Olympic Games, and I didn't get excited. I used to go through the same routine as in a World Cup. And as for the Olympic parade, it was different for me. The Olympic ceremony, the light of which was a lead in my heart 12 years ago, and was like a full moon in my imagination, now surrounded me, and I was walking. I think I was laughing with all my heart the whole time, and walking during the parade was like walking in a luminous vacuum with very loud voices of people and music. And
your family watching on satellite TV back at home.
Yeah, exactly. I know my tears of my family follow me too. And it was excitement is really in this describable, a feeling that cannot be compared to any feeling for me. Of course, I used to see athletes who sometimes look serious and even silly. Later, I thought maybe it was the second time or more they participate in the Olympic. But for me, and in my mind and soul, it was different. The meaning of my presence was something else. I deeply believe that people's eyes, their understand of situation, colors, taste, sounds, words, and everything's are different from each other, like their fingerprints. The fact that I'm telling my feelings is now does not mean that people similar to me have experienced that same feeling or reveal. This feeling and thoughts are only unique to me, and other can have different feeling. This is just sharing my feeling. Yeah. And if you want, I tell a little about a day in the life of an Iranian rower. Of course, this was mostly my lifestyle in the day camp of the rowing.
Tell us about a day in the life of an Iranian rower.
Yeah, I had a unique life as a rower, at the camp. I feel it is unique. Maybe some other people have this kind of lifestyle. I always care about my sleep, and sometimes I was so sensitive that I forced myself to sleep 8 hours at night and take a nap before practice. I remember one day I complained to my father about my fatigue after training. My father said that my physical fatigue is very normal. With a good and quality sleep, your fatigue will end and you will be refreshed again. Tomorrow morning, I paid close attention to my physical condition. After a good sleep, there was no sign of fatigue. Then I read an article that state that a half-hour nap before training can increase performance in record races by over 10 seconds.
Wow.
That's why sleep was always important to me. Aside from sleep, meals and snacks, and planning to improve them were some of my favorite topics in camp. In training, every training session, especially if there was rowing in the water, was like a race for me. In
Yeah.
general, I always trained with full strength and was not very faithful to the training percentage in my
Oops.
yeah.
You naughty athlete. You didn't stick to your
Yeah,
training percentages. Wow.
yeah, and after that I regret about that. Yeah, in my free time I mostly read psychology or fiction until I read on the word drawing website that Ekaterina from Belarus,
Oh,
you
yes.
know,
I know. Katrin
Caroe,
Rutschkar Stomporowski.
yes, who was my favorite athlete, was in knitting at the camp. In
Oh,
in order to make my lifestyle like this, I started knitting hats and scarves, and at that time I was knitting hats and scarves for all my family members and friends.
knitting, knitting, knitting.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
exactly. Yes, and I also read somewhere else that painting brings relaxation and concentration during one of the camps.
Yeah.
Drawing, yeah, drawing with a color pencil fill my free time with one of my friends. I enjoy all my experiences except running, and doing them with all my strength was part of the joys of the camp for me. In general, I was a conservation person, so as not to get hurt much as possible. Also, I couldn't prevent a number of injuries. Living healthy and away from dark parts of life is one of part of camp that I will always miss. The only thing I didn't like, and maybe one of the reason why we withdrew from the national team camp in 2015 was my constant effort to be the first in every day, not the best of the team. I think this is how I can prevent my mental exhaustion. Part of this feeling was instilled in me, not by me, but by my surrounding environment, and for other reasons. Being usually older in camp created an expectation among coaches and teammates that I would be normally perfect. It was reliable for the rest of the team, and because I could move more weights in the gym, it
Yes.
was expected that my erg and rowing record would be the best after the first practice in the morning until the last practice. My goal was to be the best. Being a bit older in my rowing career, I was really determined and I knew what I wanted to get out of the sport. So I had to think about how to improve and go fast. During my rowing career, I learned that my strengths were that I was always committed to be bettering myself to reach my goal, even if it was more than that seemed necessary or was being done by others.
So I got that wrong. It would have been a Katerina Karsten who was the Belarus sculler who you said was knitting when she was in camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. Katrin Stomperovsky was German, not.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Exactly.
So in 2015, you left the camp. That meant you stopped your career as a competitive athlete, and you're now living in the USA. When did you move there?
In fact, it has other story. Uh, I don't know. Maybe I should start from here. In 2000, in 2017, when I was the coach of Iran's national youth team, the presence of the Juganik, who was a Romanian coach and one of the best coaching coaches in the world, and Olympic competition gave me opportunity to get to know the special style of these coaches. Giga himself had a style that may seem mysterious to many members of the rowing family, but according to him and what I learned from him during my time working with this coach, he was a full-time coach in the truest sense. He worked very hard. He was with the athletes from the beginning to the end of the night, and he did not hesitate to spend all his time and energy on them, on analyze the performance of the athletes until midnight. We used to spend hours adjusting a single person boat, which
Yeah.
at that time felt like a useless task, but later,
Yes.
yeah, I realized a secret taking
The
the
importance of rigging. It's
yeah,
it's really important.
yeah. In other side, in the analyze and started bring a strong presence of a sprint, and he becomes a coach and it gives strength to athletes. Juga taught a different style rowing. He taught rowers to throw their arms very quickly and to be very slow. The slide to increase the distance of each stroke. We did a lot of very low rates, rowing, and not much racing at all. Jiga's observation, high accuracy of action, his creative solution are some of the valuable teaching that I have tried to use in my coaching course. And in 2018, my young athletes competed and qualified for Argentina Youth Olympics. I now have to step up and improve my coaching quality and learn about new topics. And I had applied through World Drawing for WISLA HPC program that developed female coaches across a wide range of sport. It was from England, and I was lucky to accept it. It was great to meet, yeah, great to meet um, other females coaches from around the world, complete a project and have access to coaches to help me improve personally. And in the rowing, I was paired with Coach Paul Thompson, as you told.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Paul was your mentor, right?
Paul also coaches the world and Olympic champion with the Australian and British team. At that time, he was the head coach of the Chinese rowing team. Paul is currently the chef of executive of Rowing Australia. He had written several books on rowing and training, and when we first worked together, he made them to Iran for me. I read the books. Yeah, I read the books many times because I was one of the few trainers who was able to access them inside Iran, where transportation routes are almost difficult and inaccessible. Since then, I have made the most of his knowledge and guidance to bring my young athletes to the Tokyo Olympics until my lightweight double sculls with an average age of 19 were able to get Iranian's best ranking in the preliminary competition, but due to the country's rowing restrictions, the double could not participate in the Tokyo Olympics. What I learned from Paul is his insightful and revelatory perspective, very hardworking and always looking to learn and acquire new ways to achieve success. He's a practical researcher with strong awareness and knowledge, very accurate and diligent. It's also undeniable that, in my opinion, he's one of the master coaches who surprisingly has shown his flexibility and strong acceptance to highest performance by coaching three different teams in the world with completely different culture and disciplines.
That's true.
And
That's very true.
yeah, after the Olympics and reaching the biggest dream of the time in my life, a new way of thinking was forming me in 2010 on the advice of one of my friends and teammates. I decided a notebook to write down my wishes. And one, yeah, one night when the moon was full, I wrote 110 wishes in it. This wish,
110. That's a lot.
I will tell you a secret of that. and and these wishes were not only for me but also for my loved ones, from wishing my mother, my father, and good health, to my cousins, academic success. The number of easily reached 110. After I came back from the Olympics, strength things happens, a deep feeling of confusion and aimlessness.
Wow.
Yeah, I really didn't know what to do. It was like you walk the path of a race to reach the finish line with all ups and downs and fatigue. And when you cross the finish line, you start walking, you sit down, stretch, and then you ask yourself, so what should I leave here? Go home? It's
Yeah.
over. I had finished the Olympics, a long-term plan that I consciously and unconsciously focused on for 12 years. And
Yeah.
after that, I had no other plans until I accidentally opened my wish book and look at a long list of my wishes. Oh my goodness, I have so much work to do. In fact, I came up with solution for this strange crisis of aimlessness at that time, and that was to follow them like a checklist of things that should be done throughout my life. The only effective way to deal with the sense of aimlessness for me was to make my dreams come true. And then I felt sense of excitement and peace. It was as if my feet were firmly planted on the ground again when I saw the path in front of me that I had to follow. At that time, I decided immigrate to Europe or America to do those things as
Yes.
well as possible. So I took measure for it, and on the advice of everyone I trusted, I went back to my rowing training. I continued my training with determination until 2014. And after the Asian Games and winning 2 medals, I felt that my other desire in life were little less kind to me anyway. They were among my valuable stress that saved me to critical situation and confusion. So I decided to give up my full-time sport and pay more attention to my other desires. Therefore, I was able to graduate from university, take courses, get married, and pursue immigration to America until one day, unexpectedly, entered the field of youth coaching. After about a few months, I was invited to work as a coach of the national youth team. This was while the issue of the immigration had become almost impossible due to Iran's diplomatic issues with the America, and I had found some new inspiration in the field of coaching, and I was all focused on them. Common desires between me and my athletes who had engaged my heart, soul, and body almost day and night until 2022. I was suddenly granted an American immigration visa.
Wow.
Yeah, I came to America to receive my green card, but I didn't have a ready plan for my stay. Unfortunately, the time of my trip to America um, coincided with the beginning of protest in Iran, which caused my family to instead insist on my stay in America. During the past 9 months that I have been living in America, I have tried to get to know different aspects of life in America, strange um, uh, and unbelievable challenges. Living in absolute solitude, starting again from the beginning made me a different person every day. I witnessed intense mental, spiritual, and even physical changes in myself. I accepted that after immigration to America, I have to build my life from the ground up. I hope one day I can reach the lake and the boat and the coaching field at the level I was before, at least. Also, I'm still working in the field of water sport in the swimming pool, and I'm back to water again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
this is the story.
so you want to coach in America, to coach rowing, and obviously to try and get back to the level that you were at before when you were the head youth coach for Iran. So, if someone is thinking, well, we would like to have a coach, you know, how can they get in touch with you? You've got a green card, haven't you?
Yeah, I have green card, and I think I will stay here maybe for a long time, more than this. And I have email address, and I'm in LinkedIn too, WhatsApp, any media is reachable is good, and I will. It's my pleasure to be helpful again as a coach in United States too.
So, what is your email address?
Email address is Abbasi Azad Selma at gmail.com. ABBASI AZADSELMA at gmail.com.
Perfect. So, if any clubs are listening and they would like to talk to Soulmas about her potentially coming and coaching their crews, you have experience with youth crews. You obviously have experience as an Olympic athlete, and I'm sure that you would coach masters as well if you were, if it was possible.
It's my
Let's hope.
pleasure.
Let's hope that we can help find you some great employment so that you can get out of the swimming pool and back to the rowing lake.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you so much. And it was very good day to talk with you. I hope everybody enjoy. Thank you for taking time.
Thank you for spending time with us, and it's been a delight, and I very much hope that we can follow your career in the future.
Thank you so much.
So this has been part of the Rowing Chat Podcast Network. I'm Rebecca Caroe. Until next time.